Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back, and today it is time for another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay cast. We are on the map Golden Wall, which is always one that I like to watch, as I think it creates nice long games. Now, we have got ourselves a TvZ, Terran versus Zerg, and in the bottom right-hand side of the map, Golden Wall, it's Solar. The Korean Zerg, Korean champion, incredibly strong and incredibly consistent player. Solar is someone I've cast and watched a lot. He has won multiple of my Africa World tournaments that I've organized. He was a menace in them for quite a while. And Africa World, by the way, coming back, so expect some VODs for that on the channel soon. Now, if we take a look in the left-hand side of the map, we have got none other than Liquid uThermal, who I've been casting quite a bit on the channel lately. I think uThermal is a very fun Terran player to watch. And when I saw that it was uThermal, I was like, okay, maybe I've cast a bit too much uThermal lately. And then I saw it was uThermal versus Solar, which is something that I just love to watch. As for those of you that don't know, uThermal and Solar actually play each other quite a bit, more than you'd think a European and a Korean Zerg play each other, but they've met in tournaments quite frequently. And so it's always fun to watch. uThermal usually has a hard time taking down Solar, but he shows incredibly great games, and he does win sometimes. The tournament that comes to mind in the past, when the two of them have met, is actually organized by Jim Rising, the Mexican Zerg player slash streamer. And Jim Rising organizes the Taco Cup, which I think Solar and uThermal have met in the finals of, for what must be 3 events or so. So they've played each other in long series in notable online cups quite a few times. Now, let's take a look. SCV Scout for uThermal, making sure that there's no early pool, no cheeky early gold base from the Zerg player. And then if I imagine, uThermal probably just wants to macro up, as Golden Wall is such a good map for Terran aggression, in my opinion. Or for Terran macro, pardon me, because it's tough for Zerg to counterattack on. Attacking on 2 bases is very rarely seen, since it's such a linear attack path that the Zerg has to take. And then, of course, there's all the expansion options. There's the gold base, which Zerg has a hard time taking, as opposed to most other gold bases Zerg really benefits from, because of the area behind it, which this base can be harassed. And so Terran actually has an easier time taking this base compared to the Zerg. And the 4th is pretty decent. And then, of course, there's the bottom expansion locations, which are an option too, in case you're being pushed in an odd direction and still need to get that expansion up. So 3rd CC for uThermal is something I could almost predict with my eyes closed. Now uThermal, he's getting up a starport. 3rd CC is incredibly quick for the Terran. I mean, he's got that building up before he even fires up his first couple of Hellions, so that really goes to show just how fast that is. Now, uThermal, he's out on the map with his Reaper scouting around. Solar's Ling speed isn't yet done. Once it is, the Reaper will have to back out, get out of dodge, and all that good stuff. Now, but ladies and gentlemen, before we get any further into this cast, make sure to go ahead and slap that like button. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. Slap that like button for epic TvZ macro games on Golden Wall, which I'm pretty sure this is gonna be. And of course, yeah, let's try and hit 75 likes, because we gotta have a goal. And the 75 likes is a good number, I feel. Viking is on the way for uThermal to help shut down Solar's scout. Solar has actually had a very good positioned Overlord in order to see the 3rd base, which is a very nice scout for him. This is going to allow Solar basically free reign to drone up for the most part, and the Overlord should be killed off by this Viking. That Viking should actually turn around to kill that guy off. Odd way for an Overlord to come in though, so uThermal not really expecting it to come in there. Solar pretty much has seen everything, so he does know that uThermal went for a very greedy play and has basically got away with it. We see Solar still throwing up the safety spores. Liberator's on the way, so that's a good choice. And then, of course, uThermal just going to be getting his Hellions pushed away by Solar. Okay, now let's see. The Hellions moving around, going up to the north. keeping the pressure on his opponent. uThermal then goes to throw up his extra barracks, start getting that bioproduction really rolling. He's floating his orbital towards his third CC, which is gonna, or he's floating his third orbital, pardon me, towards his third base, which is the gold, which is gonna do him very, very well. eBay's on the way for uThermal, however, Solar does have rather reasonably timed upgrades, but man, this is a lot of Hellions for uThermal. uThermal loves his Hellions, is now going to be running them across the map into Solar's base. We'll see how well this is going to go. The Hellions charge on up. Looks like they actually got a pretty good angle against Solar. They're just fighting back against all the Lings, going to be killing them off. The Hellions now inside the main base. Drones are dying to the Liberator 2 as this is going on. They're running away, but they aren't going to be able to run away from this many Hellions. uThermal splitting them up, killing off a ton of drones here. 12 drones in all. The Hellions are still giving Solar grief. And so this is really, really nice for uThermal. No mining in the main base for Solar at the minute, so lost mining time. He's lost Lings, and he's lost drones. So really good for uThermal. Even targets down a few more drones, bringing the counter up to 16 in all. Massive damage getting done to Solar. And uThermal just with a bio follow-up behind this. He's got his gold base. He's wary of counterattacks though, so he is going to pull the SCVs away from that, which I really do like and respect. It's kind of a trade-off, leaving all your Hellions to die, basically, as it means you can't take up this gold base as quickly as you'd like. But very, very smart decision from uThermal, because those Lings could have given him a lot of grief with a counterattack. Now, uThermal is going to start saturating up this base, though, moving his Marines and tank out, then going to be able to just get set up there nice and properly. Whereas Solar, he's just trying to re-drone up behind this, and he's in quite a bit of trouble. So to overcome this, I mean, he's getting up a macro hatch, he's getting up his fourth base as far away from uThermal as he possibly can, and then he's spreading creep on top of this. So Solar spreading the creep would be very good because it does add up on Golden Wall very quickly, so I want to see him drop a ton of tumors. Now, Solar's also starting up Banelings, but make no mistake, the Korean Zerg player is in quite a bit of trouble, as the opening was just massive amounts of damage. uThermal really liking his high Hellion count lately. Yeah, now let's see. Solar, he's already got his 1-1 done. He starts up his +2 Carapace to make sure that his upgrades keep on rolling. And then if we do take a look, there is now Banelings out for Solar. Baneling speed is on the way. uThermal is going to start pushing the creep a little bit, but waiting for his own 1-1, waiting for his combat shield. Now he's going to start going in. There we go. Combat shield's done. 1-1. Now just done. Solar has already fired up his 2-2, which is good to see. He will have an upgrade lead in the future again, as uThermal just firing up his own 2-2, so slight upgrade lead for Solar. Solar is also getting up an infestation pit. He's reached 74 drones, so now Solar just needs to basically focus everything on defense and try and shut down uThermal. However, that's not going to be easy. uThermal is going to be able to make mass amounts of bio, and that's why we see him already throwing up another 3 racks, going up to 8 rack. I wouldn't even, just because of the gold base, it allows Terran to get that production up very, very quickly and start making a ton of units. uThermal going for a double drop, hitting this Zerg base, might be able to get a cancel. Yes, he does. Has to get out of there with the Medivacs. All the while, he's got a drop going into Solar's main base. So, gonna be getting in there. Solar sees this now, but it is still gonna have to deal with it. These Marines for uThermal stim on in. Are they just gonna settle for the spawning pool? Looks like that may be the best choice, as the drones had already ran away because of Solar's good reaction. Solar already throws up another spawning pool, though, wary of losing his. uThermal lifts up into the Medivac and gets away. Solar even cancels that extra building spawning pool once he realizes he's defended his. A hive is now on the way for Solar, so he's hanging on very well. Supply is more or less even, which is really good for the Zerg player, showing that he's not fallen too far behind in the numbers. He's down on army supply a little bit, and he's defending with literally just Ling Bane right now. No mutas on the table, but that's going to give him quite a significant army to try and punish uThermal's high Marine count. This drop, though, going to be coming on in. Solar's got units in position to defend this, so good job from Solar in that regard. We see uThermal is getting up his 4th command center. So, should turn this into a PF ASAP. Make sure that is an anchor point, and there we go. And from this point on, I imagine we'll be seeing uThermal just try and keep the pressure on Solar, throw up a ton of extra command centers, and start that Terran production rolling. Good reaction from uThermal, getting these Marines in position in order to defend against this Ling counterattack. Solar Well, Zerg who often goes for moves like that. So there's the first extra command center going up for uThermal, but look at his mineral count. It's just shooting up and up and up. We're going to be seeing him building more and more CCs as this game goes on. uThermal, about to have his 2-2 done, so he could potentially try pushing the Zerg player. He will need to get that creep back a little bit, though, before he goes for such a push. And eventually uThermal will have to start bolstering up this army more. So we see he's adding on Thors, lots of Widow Mines, but we'll need to transition away from just the Marines, so he's now building his first Marauders of the game. And that is very significant that uThermal is already planning to transition away from just such a high Marine composition, because this army can just be rolled by a later game Zerg force, and Solar is getting up to that later game Zerg tech. I mean, he's got a Spire on the way, Ultra Cavern done, and so we see Chitinous Plating, Adrenal Glands, +3 attack on the way for, or +3 armor on the way for Solar. We'll probably see +3 attack on the way soon after. uThermal, though, as I said before, is known for building a lot of CCs. If you guys watched the last match, uThermal versus Scarlet, this is what he really, really likes to do on Golden Wall, and he does it really, really well. That's why I wanted to cast this match, see if he could do it against Solar, and so far it's looking pretty good for the Terran player. But it's not that simple. Solar is about to have out Ultralisk, which are the big daddies in his army, which are the breakers that break Terran encroachments, if that's the right word. If that even is a word. But now we take a look. uThermal starting to continuously push here. I mean, he's got his Marines in a very good position, making it tough for the Zerg to engage. There's a massive minefield behind uThermal, and he's using the cliff, using the Thor to block up this ramp. Such a good position from uThermal. Baneling's starting to roll forward, but the Thor, he's pretty much the anchor against that. Solar may very well have to give up this space, and he realizes that he's being pressured by the Terran incredibly hard, so he's planning his own counterattack. Got some Banelings, got some Lings. Getting ready to go for that. For now, though, Solar does just want to dislodge the Terran. Banelings roll forward, the Thor gets taken out. There isn't even that much bio here for uThermal. I mean, he's got, what, 24 Marines on the field? It's just a massive field of 17 Widow Mines from uThermal. Oh my gosh, that's got to be the most Widow Mines I've seen in a pro game in so long, but Widow Mines are amazing units for Terran. They almost always trade cost efficiently. Look at them cutting up these Lings. Solar's like, why is there so many Widow Mines? It's literally a minefield from uThermal. A lot of those mines did get cleaned up, but I'm pretty sure they traded out at good value for uThermal, as Widow Mines, as long as they hit a few units, they almost always pay for themselves, and I think that's one of the really underrated parts of the unit. Like, it's not so much in TvZ because Lings are pretty cheap too, but in TvP, a mine hitting a Stalker or something, it completely pays for the Widow Mine. So if you think about it, a Widow Mine needs to kill, what, 4 Lings to pay for itself? 100 minerals? Or 100 resources against 100 resources, and anything else other than that is just gravy. And so that's why I think Terran just spamming Widow Mines to a degree which the Zerg cannot avoid them is fully worth it. We see uThermal building even more and more orbitals. He's gonna have money, money, money for days. And we see him dropping this base of Solar, which is really nice. The gold base for the Zerg is almost impossible to take. Solar has to mine out this back location, probably just expanded this base when he can. Make no mistake though, Solar has held on this game. He's got out those Ultras, which he likes. He has got, he's got a Spire done, Corruptors on the way. So we'll see if we're going to see Broodlords, we'll see if we see Infestors. Look at this positioning from uThermal, really good. But oh man, big Baneling attack hitting this PF. Kills off 11 SCVs. I don't usually rewind, but we are actually going to rewind on this one. How many Banelings was this? That's 10 Banelings, a ton of Lings. The Widow Mine's going to hit the Lings, actually kill a mass amount of them. Taken out enough that it looks like this PF does indeed hold on, and all of a sudden, this is actually a very good trade for uThermal. 10 Banelings for 11 SCVs, the PF surviving as long as uThermal repairs it. Fully worth it for uThermal. Now we begin to see the Terran start pressuring the Zerg once more, abusing these cliffs as much as he can. He's now got Liberators in position. He's got tons of bio on the ground, so Solar can't easily wrap around this force. And Solar just has to accept the fact that this base is gone. uThermal does need to repair the top left. If this PF burns down, that would be a tragedy. Are these boys going to repair? The answer is no. Are these boys? Yeah, there we go. PF getting the love that it needs. being repaired up. uThermal is facing another counterattack at this base, but once again, if the Zerg doesn't actually kill the planetaries, it is a massive, massive waste of resources. So Solar kills off this base, which is really good for him. If he didn't get that, once again, he'd just be throwing away units, basically. Widowmine's hitting the Ultras on the butt on the way out. uThermal, though, of course, does have more CCs to replace. He's got tons of orbitals, too. Let's see. Well, actually, only 4 orbital commands. A lot of PFs going up. We'll probably see more orbitals go up at some point. And there we go, uThermal throwing up more CCs, because he can. And does uThermal have building armor? Let's see. The answer is no, not yet. I would like to see uThermal get building armor now that he's done with his attack and armor upgrades. And here goes the Terran starting to push forward into Solar. Solar is going to have to deal with this army somehow. And I think, honestly, the way to do that is just a ton of banelings and just diving on top of uThermal. Because a Zerg army can fully beat a Terran army if the Terran's not prepared. And so if Solar can catch uThermal not paying attention, not pre-splitting his army, even just for a second, that can be the moment Zerg needs to clear the Terran force and then just counter push and win the game. It's not going to be easy for Solar to do that, but it definitely could be doable. Zerg going to be trying to deal with this bio, but uThermal still abusing this cliff position. uThermal's still been dropping, denying the Zerg from taking these southern bases, making Solar's life really hard. Solar, if you think about it, is still only on 4 bases, so he feels really pressured to push right now. Ling's moving forward, baiting out the Widow Mines, which is really good as Solar's very clumped up for the most part, but there we go. uThermal gonna be getting pushed back by the Zerg. Corruptors in the sky will punish the Medivacs, pick off the Liberators, and Solar very well may just go forward, may just try and secure up the win. uThermal, though, kiting on 2 fronts. Widow Mines getting connections, really thinning out the Zerg herd. And oh, even tanks at the back for uThermal still getting shots off. And Solar's army, I get the feeling, is just going to wear thin again. And uThermal has got such a good economy compared to the Zerg. Like, uThermal, he's still kiting this bio on the north. Should just be able to retreat indefinitely. And yeah, uThermal, I mean, he's got so many bases. Solar has to kill off, like, all of these bases if he wants to cripple uThermal and put themselves on even economies. Because Solar is just rebuilding up his 5th base now that uThermal has denied time and time again. And it does go to show that the Zerg needs to get a lot of damage done. But we take a look, the supply has fallen for the Zerg. There was the big battle. uThermal's able to remax easier. uThermal's even getting up these extra orbital commands, which is good to see. Just having that grossly good Terran economy. uThermal even throwing up turrets because he knows the Corruptors can go for base snipes. And now he's going to be going for a Marauder drop to probably shut down what would be the gold base once again. But Solar knows better than to try and get that. Yeah, this game is looking very, very good for uThermal, showing us another incredible TvZ on the map Golden Wall. And why I think if you're a Zerg playing against uThermal, you either got to cheese him out or veto this map. uThermal even getting up a fusion core, probably for advanced ballistics for his Liberators. Don't get too excited, battlecruiser fans. Although I wouldn't put it past uThermal, but yeah, probably for advanced ballistics. Right now, uThermal, though, is feeling very confident. 200 supply to 167. Solar in trouble. Even if he trades it against this army, it's got to be very, very good trades. We do see the Zerg finally getting some more redeeming tech up, at least, though. Just a single Viper, but that is exactly what I want to see from Solar. Vipers, potentially corrupt or potentially infestors, to lock down this Terran army to allow Solar to take the better trades that he needs. You can't be on a worse economy than your opponent and taking worse trades. That is the recipe for losing a Starcraft game. So far, though, that's been the case for Solar. He's pushing forward. Baneling's rolling for days, but there's Widow Mines. The Corruptors are doing what they can, cleaning out the Medivacs, cleaning out the Terran force. But in the end, the Liberators are still there. The ground army of Solar is wearing thin, and there's simply too much uThermal. Solar being pushed back onto creep. Keep in mind, he's only got this one base as his main mining base at this point. His main's mined out. His natural's mined out. His third's almost mined out. His fourth is even starting to mine out. And so it's all on Solar at this point to try and just hang on. He's got to rely on, like, ultras. He needs to try and squeeze out another ultra or two, as a matter of fact, as those are the units that will keep his Zerg going. But man, it's not easy for Solar right now. uThermal's just got more bases, more money, throwing up more orbitals because he can, like a boss. And uThermal has been trading more efficient too. Beautiful, beautiful play from uThermal. If Solar's gonna come back and win this game, he needs a miracle. Throwing just Banelings at the Terran isn't gonna work, because the Banelings probably won't trade cost efficiently at this point in the game. And then, at the same time, yeah, they probably won't trade cost efficiently at this point. And at the same time, the Solar needs something else stronger to deal with this army. But take a look, uThermal moves into the north, taking out Solar's last mining base, really. The gold base has been secured. Solar got units in there to defend it too, but it's still building, so that's going to take a while. This one Ultra's moving forward with some Baneling support. It's going to crash into this Terran army. It looks like Solar will clean that up, but uThermal can just keep making units for days. For days. Solar transfuses, keeps his Queen alive, transfuses his Ultra a bit, keeps that alive. Very, very important. It's all about the Ultra efficiency at this point for the Zerg, if you want to make those big holds. And Solar has to keep this gold base alive. There's no possible excuse. And uThermal now, he's even mined out his own gold base so he can easily rally units through. So he's just going to change the direction of the attack towards the back of this gold base. And there's not much Solar can do about it. Solar's looking for a Ling counterattack, but it's PFs for days for uThermal. He's got a PF on every base. Lings themselves aren't going to make a counterattack happen. Solar sees this base and he's got to be thinking, oh no, GG is called. He knows he can't defend that base. uThermal just plays another incredibly clean TvZ, bringing down Solar. Zergs, look out for uThermal on this map. He looks really, really good. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this match, you made it all the way to the end, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you are not. Join the Discord, that's linked in the description, along with the button to become a member, get various perks and all that good stuff. My name is LaughNgamez. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.